Hey everyone! It's been a while since we've visited this game, hasn't it? It was a few years ago, believe it or not. I'm sure you're like, why are you coming back to this after so long? Well, I. Well, let's just say it's a couple of things. One, I got more interested, or you could even say distracted by a couple of other things I wanted to do. The other thing is that for a period of time, this game was sort of unplayable for me. And what I mean by that is I was having issues. There was a period of time where a certain patch, or maybe a couple of certain patches, along with whatever the current state of my drivers was, it kind of caused the game to almost become entirely unplayable. Like, it was not doing well performance wise, but it also caused a graphical issue with the game on my computer. And I guess it was because of the current state of the driver was not able to do well with the current patch of the game. So I put the game aside for a while, hoping that eventually they would do something to patch it up, and they did. Later on, they had another patch, another DLC, that also helped with the fact that there was another update to my drivers. Seemed to fix it, where now I've been able to get back to playing this game without technical issues, though I'm not running it on top-notch settings because my computer is not that good. But then again, I know other people that had, insanely good towers, and they wouldn't run it on the top settings because of how it would still kind of cause your machine to chug. So, anyways, you probably are thinking that, aren't you playing World of Warcraft these days? Yeah, well, I've also learned that at times it's important to go ahead and take some breaks and play something else. Something fun, something you like to enjoy, something you can pause and just kind of do whatever in between. And this is one of those games for me that I really do enjoy. Excuse me. However, I do want to preface that I'm not good at these kind of games. So when I say that, I'm saying I like to enjoy it in my own way, because another of the issues is that when a new patch or DLC comes out, you then have, if you're using mods, which this game does have really good mod support. There are lots of mods for this game. You also have to wait for the people who authored those mods to update them to make them more compatible for the current state of the game. So usually when a new DLC or patch comes out, I have to put it aside so that those mods can kind of update. I do try, without the mods, but let's just say there's some mods I do really, really like that I think help the experience, at least for me as well. Which also is for me as someone who's not very good, who has tried to do this game legit and has gotten a decent amount of progress, but then reach a point where I was like, okay, I want to get some mods to make this a much easier experience for me, because even on the easy difficulties, this game is not really that easy, which is fine, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm glad that the option for me to get mods to make my experience playing this game more fun, enjoyable, and easier for my skill level is a good thing. That's all I'm saying. So with that being said, I wanted to do what I did with the first Total War Warhammer game, which is show you guys the intros to the campaigns for the different factions that you can play in this. Now, when this game first came out a few years ago, the video that I showed where we took a look at the armies, I mentioned that there weren't that many factions because the game had come out recently. Since then, they've added a lot more to this. In fact, they have also reworked some of the factions where now they don't really work exactly the way they did in the first Warhammer game. What I showed you guys with the factions of, say, the Empire and the Vampire Counts, the Greenskins, they've gone through reworks, and they've received changes where now they have different gameplay mechanics that actually change up the experience of how to play it. They've really tried to really enhance the fantasy of playing those factions with some of these different mechanics that have been added. But that's more so in the Mortal Empire stuff, because what I'm referring to, if you want to see here, there are two different campaigns. This is the main campaign for this game, Warhammer 2, focusing on this thing with the Vortex. The Mortal Empires, this is the thing that everyone was very excited about and very hyped about, which was what people were calling the mega campaign, which was they were going to combine the maps and the factions of both games into one giant map and one giant campaign. And it is a lot of fun, and it does allow you to be able to, really do some fun stuff. You can even see here in the picture, there's the map for the second game, and then over here is like the map for the first game. It's kind of squished together, and you can see all these different playable ones here. But I'm not focusing on that. What I'm mainly going to be focusing on in these very upcoming series of videos is the intro for each of the different playable factions that you can do in this campaign here. The Eye of the Vortex, at the heart of the elven homeland of the great Vortex coils, siphoning the excess magic that spills from the realm of chaos. But now, after many millennia, it falters. The Vortex is vulnerable, and while some seek to control its great power, others see an opportunity, a chance to prosper and vanquish foes in an unstable, war-ravaged world. Choose a legendary lord, fight for all that they desire, and lead them to glory. Yes, I was trying to do the voice of the advisor from the first game because he's in this game again, and you'll get to hear him do the intros. Regardless of how you feel about him constantly, pestering you with tips and such, and people are like, oh, get off, shut up, get off the screen. I do like the voice actors, how well of a job the voice actor does for each of these different intros. I think he does an excellent job. Especially from a storytelling perspective. He's almost like a different version of Deckard Cain. Don't hate me. don't hate me for that, okay? I'm just saying. Also, I will admit, for those of you who are perhaps longtime Warhammer fans and such, which I do somewhat want to address because I took a look at some of my older videos for these first two games, and I saw a number of dislikes. I also saw that for some reason the one I did on Bretonnia got a few hundred views. I'm not sure why that was. I saw also a lot of people disliked my Wood Elves video. I'm not sure why that was. Perhaps it was because I said I didn't like playing as the Wood Elves, and apparently people don't like that. But I will acknowledge, and I do want to admit, that I may not be very knowledgeable, but I'm trying. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to become more knowledgeable. I am trying to become as knowledgeable in the lore of Warhammer and even Warhammer 40k at some point as I am with, say, Warcraft. And believe it or not, there are mods that are actually going to be helping me with that. I found a mod that actually just adds lore for almost everything that you do in this game. Anytime you add a unit or make a building or something, a little thing will pop up with lore about it if you want to read up on it and learn about it. And for me, I'm like, okay, this is a really cool extra way for me to learn about the lore of Warhammer. I even know some people that they're very knowledgeable when it comes to Warhammer 40k, but not this version of Warhammer. But I do find it very interesting. So,
I am Tyrion.
As I was saying, you can see all... It used to be just like... So it used to be just, let's see, I think it was 8. It was these two, these two, these two, and these two. These were all that you could play when this game first launched. Look at how many extra lords they have added for you to play as. Also, they've added other factions. They've added the Vampire Counts. Or the Vampire Coast, excuse me. The Vampire Counts was in the first game. Sorry, my bad. Coast is what I meant to say. The Tomb Kings. They also added a few extra little lords here for you to play as, say, a Empire faction. If you want to play a Greenskin faction, they added Grom the Paunch. I'm actually checking out his campaign, as he's like one of the more recent additions here. And then if you want to play Bretonnia, there is this one right over here. However, in this video, we're going to take a look at the cinematic intro. By the way, I don't believe all of these. I haven't actually checked these two out. I don't know if they have a cinematic introduction. I'll check that out and test it out to see whether or not there is. If there is, I'll go ahead and show it off in the video. But in this video, I'm going to be showing you the cinematic intro for the High Elves. So there are, as you can see, 5 lords that you can choose from here. These 3, well, actually these 4. I just realized I said 5. These are 6. I can count. I swear. By the way, it's also like 2 a.m. in the morning, so give me a break. There are 6 lords here. I know what I'm doing. I decided to do this on the fly. Sorry. Anyways, there are 6 lords you can choose from if you want to play the High Elves faction. However, these were the 2 main ones that first came out. The standard I noticed was that there was one spellcaster lord, which in this case would be Teclis, right here, and there was one melee lord, which was Tyrion, right here. The High Elves, they, well, as you can see here, they have a couple of interesting mechanics. One is Intrigue. Influence can be spent on superior lords or used to affect diplomacy between factions. So if you want to be a little bit more political, that can be able to help you out, kind of gain favor and such. Espionage. Trade agreements will allow line of sight to assets controlled by the trade partner. Pretty nice for clearing the map. Martial prowess. Superior coordination in melee combat when High Elves enter battle at full strength. So, Tyrion has the easy initial challenge, because, of course, there is this thing called Enable the Campaign Introduction, which starts with additional introductory content designed to explain the basics of the game. So, this right here is meant for, like, first-time players. If it's, like, your first time ever trying a Total War game, just enable this, and you will get some extra tutorial stuff here to help teach you some extra stuff in the game. I'm not going to do that for this one. I just want to show you some of the extra stuff. Plus, if you don't do it, you get a little bit of extra dialogue from the Lord that you selected to give you an idea of their motivations and what's going on. The faction effects for playing as... I guess this is called Etane. They've changed the name of this. This used to be different. I think it just used to be called Othuan, which is the area we're going to be here, this portion of the map right here. You can even see this is the entire map for Warhammer 2 right here, the campaign for Eye of the Vortex. And this portion right here, zoomed in right here, this is where you start off. And this is basically going to be the main area that you work on, because this is where the main thing that this campaign is focused on, the Vortex, is right here. So he gets diplomatic relations plus 20 with the rest of the High Elves. Construction time, minus 50% for Shrine of Cain building. Recruitment duration, minus 1 turn for infantry and cavalry units. His effects is that he has minus 50% upkeep for Spearmen, Silverin Guard, Rangers, Archers, and Silverhelm units. And his recruit rank for Lothran Sea Guard units are plus 3 right off the bat. He also gets to start with a Flamespire Phoenix, a monstrous beast, and a Eagleclaw Bolt Thrower, which is one of the High Elves' field artillery. I don't believe they have that many, so if you weren't looking for an artillery faction, I don't believe they are one of the main ones. But anyways, just a heads up also, I still have some of my mods enabled that allow for easier stuff, so but I'm not really intending to show that much gameplay in these videos. It's mainly just to show the cool thematic cinematic intros for the story. So with that, let's take a look at Tyrion and the High Elves in the Eye of the Vortex.
Who are the Asur? An enigma to men and dwarfs, who know them as High Elves. At the center of the great ocean lies Ulthuan, a paradise created by the Old Ones. But when the stellar gates collapsed, demons flooded the mortal plane. All was lost until Anarion the Defender strode forth. The first Phoenix King vanquished the demons with the aid of the Archmage, Calador Dragontamer. It was Calador and his elven mages who created the Great Vortex. A swirling maelstrom that siphoned the excess magic, withering demonkind. With the world purged of chaos, the elves took it upon themselves to become guardians and stewards. The twin-tailed comet is oft seen as an omen, but this time its wake brought great peril.
The dragon with two tails flies lower than before. Its trail disturbs the Vortex.
I have felt a change in the winds of magic.
Then write it, brother. Lead the mages of Safari. Bring all in the White Tower to bear if you must.
Such lore is currently beyond us.
I suggest a scrying ritual in the Pool of Isha. It may provide us with the answer.
Such a ritual requires fragments of fallen waystones. Far more than we have.
Then we find more. Make ready your ritual, Lawmaster Talarian. You will have your fragments.
I shall start the search in Lustria.
Lustria?
My brother will search here, in Ulthuan.
Why do you care so much about the greater world?
Why do you not? Stay here, brother. Protect Ulthuan. But I venture beyond our borders.
And while you meddle in far-flung continents, I will ensure you have a home to return to.
Ever watchful for a chance to strike at their mortal enemies, the hateful Dark Elves have taken advantage of the discord wrought by the comet's appearance to launch an invasion of Ulthuan, the divine home of the High Elves. Lothern, the High Elf capital city and seat of the Phoenix King, is gravely threatened. Cursing his brother's absence, with the few forces at his disposal, Tyrion marches south to lead the counterattack. I will say, Tyrion doesn't paint himself in a very likable fashion right there. Saying, screw the rest of the world, it's all about us High Elves. Well, isn't that kind of typical of some of the High Elves in other settings?
Rally to my banner. Ulthuan is under attack, and the great Vortex imperiled like never before. The Druki invade us in number. No doubt Malekith or his twisted crone of a mother have sensed weakness in the Vortex. Their attack is blatant. They come directly for the sea gates of Lothern. The seat of the Phoenix King must not fall. Finnobar has entrusted me to lead the counterattack. Join my cause, brave Assur, and together we shall overcome. The Druki cannot be allowed to despoil the sanctity of Ulthuan. Draw your weapons, and by Assurian's will shall we prevail.
So, these are the things I mentioned earlier about how the High Elves play. So, I'm looking for something here to... I'm hoping the mod kicks in to be like, this is more what you want to know about Tyrion.
Of the Ever Queen.
By the way, they also updated the portraits of the lords. It's a little touch that I actually really appreciate.
We have shaped this world.
So yeah, this is supposed to be like one of the main capital cities, like I believe, or even the main capital city of the High Elves here. You can even see it right there. There's the Vortex. And yeah, like, you can basically claim this entire area here and be like, the Vortex is mine! And up here you can see this is like the main thing here where you collect these fragments to be able to get these rituals, which is what you need to help make sure that you can be able to get the Vortex under your control or power, which in the High Elves case is defending it from the other factions who are trying to claim it. As you probably saw there, remember some things that were already mentioned in that intro. Remember the name Malekith, he'll come up later. Also, remember the comet. the Comet is going to be relevant very much in every one of the 4 main factions, which is the High Elves, Dark Elves, Skaven, and Lizardmen. It won't really be a thing with some of the other factions, because the other factions, like the Tomb Kings and the Vampire Coast, they don't care about the Vortex and what's going on here. They have their own things that they're going to be focusing on, which I will show later. But anyways, yeah, so you can be able to start here. It's a shame that my little mod for the lore is not kicking in, because I would love to show you guys some of this. I think the only way I could really be able to do that is if I did recorded a full playthrough of an entire campaign, which if you want me to do, by all means, feel free to let me know, and share. I will let you know, if you do request it, I will let you know right up front, it's not going to be a, legit, regular, normal, without mods playthrough. It will be modded. I will be cheating. Just letting you know, okay? I've done my fair share of trying to play and beat this game without mods, without cheating. I had a rough time, okay? So, there are certain games you love playing through normal the first time, but then later on you're like, okay, I don't want to play through that game again without cheating. And there are some games that are like that. There's no shame in admitting that, I have no shame to be like, yeah, I'll play this game, but, with cheats. Some people think that's heresy, Warhammer. But, anyways, think about how much farther do I want to take this, because really, this is now just like, hey, now you can start working on your city here, you can start going after claiming other territories from, the Dark Elves, but, hold on, let me do a little bit here, just to kind of see if there's anything that pops up lore-wise for me to show it to you. First off, let's get this tower right here. It's right next to Lothern.
Ulf 1. Pull back. Take what is right.
There we go. So this is the mod I was referring to. Just pops up with this extra lore. There's a bunch here. But then again, this franchise has been around for many, many years. The noble families of Ulthuan have led the High Elves through times of peace and conflict for thousands of years. They pride themselves on a deep sense of honor, as well as the mastery of both diplomacy and war as art forms. The High Elves believe an existence lived without precision to be hollow and scarcely preferable to death. Any elf prince is just at home fighting with a sword and bloody melee, as he is losing deathly accurate arrows from afar, or even dictating the strategy of a campaign from a greater distance still. Though they are loyal to the Phoenix King, even unto death, all High Elves of noble blood love intrigue and politics. Unfortunately, this sometimes means that armies are trusted to individuals based on political alignment rather than on ability. Fortunately, these instances are rare. When the safety of Ulthuan is at stake, few Phoenix Kings have suffered such idiocy for long. There is no shortage of brave and talented commanders amongst the Asur. I hope I said that right. And courtly intrigue seldom prevents such individuals from harnessing their skills. Depending on their wealth and the kingdom of their birth, the princes of Ulthuan fight in many different ways. Those of Tyrion typically do battle from the back of swift-wheeled chariots, while the lords of Lothern often stand spear and bow in hand amidst the ranks of the sea guard. Those with the greatest wealth might ride upon a great eagle, or a griffin, or in the case of the mightiest princes of Calador, upon a dragon. Such steeds are invariably a symbol of status, as well as lending a brutal advantage in the midst of battle. Wherever they hail from, High Elf commanders are incredibly dangerous, able to strike down their foes with unmatched swiftness. They are equally deadly with a lance, spear, halberd, or longbow, able to penetrate even the most resolute defense with a spear thrust, or shoot a foe through the eye while riding at full gallop. Princes of the highest rank even wield weapons of legend, magical heirlooms fashioned upon Vowel's forge, and held by their families for hundreds if not thousands of years. For many families, ownership of such an artifact constitutes their line's right to regal status. Any prince who bears one to battle will therefore fight all the harder, for he and his family can ill afford for the blade to be lost to the foe, or be dishonored by defeat or cowardice. Yet, whilst a magical weapon might make a noble a prince, it does not make him a general. This comes from his keen mind, his courage, and his sense of duty. Thus does Ulthuan forge the finest commanders in the world, leaders able to read the ebb and flow of unfolding battle, knowing when to commit forces, when to retreat, and when Ulthuan must call for the ultimate sacrifice from her defenders. You see what I mean? Just extra little stuff like that. That was cool little stuff to help explain why, for example, when you go here, you'll see like certain things, like certain types of mounts that they can be able to get access to, or other certain types of weapons. Like that's kind of like part of the lore explanation there. So anyways, so yes, I have a mod that makes it where it unlocks mounts right away at level 2. So he gets his cool mount right off the bat. Let me alright, we'll just do this, just get to the next turn. Just to see if anything else pops up here, about Tyrion specifically. Huh. Okay. Yeah, I'll more than likely continue this on my own, like off camera. But like I said, if you ever want to see me do campaign of any of these, feel free to let me know.
Tyrion, heir of an Aryan.
All right. Right click, further information. Of course. And of course the game has its own built-in little wiki here. Our beautiful land is besieged on all sides, but we resist like our fathers before us. We will emerge victorious and more intractable than ever to these turbulent times. When our corrupt brothers come to ravage our shores, we are the Aesir, the sons of an Aryan, and Ulthuan shall never fall. Now there is one among the Aesir, a warrior, because I think I skipped this because it looks like this is more about just the High Elves in general. But this is what I want to get to about Tyrion. A warrior so great that he has yet to meet his match with a blade. Prince Tyrion, heir of an Aryan and defender of Ulthuan. So impressive are Tyrion's martial talents, so perfectly does he combine skill at arms with speed of thought, that there are many among the Aesir who consider him to be both the world's greatest living warrior and the reincarnation of the first Phoenix King, an Aryan, said to be reborn and living again through the young prince. So yeah. Got some more extra lore. This is, it's a built-in, lore wiki here for any of these things. So if you want to know more about these lords, even if the mod I have doesn't provide it, this will. So just right-click on it if you want to learn more about it. So that is the High Elves intro to the Eye of the Vortex campaign introduction. When we return, I will be showing you a different faction, more than likely the Lizard Men. Stay tuned.